So last time we finished on creating structured dates and actually getting the sign conversions with this JavaScript file here. Today I'm going to be doing a bit more with that information here. The first thing I want to do is not only get the structured dates, but actually the dates as well. And here, what we want to do is we want to use those sign conversions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say signs equals, and I'm going to use the sign conversion, get sign conversion here. Okay, with that, the name of the function get sign. For the months, I believe it was months conversion. This will be get sign conversion. So let's just change it here. And here it would be get sign conversion. Again, if I can type today, get sign conversion. Okay. And here we need the date, the year. So I'm going to say dates. And if we just say dates, for example, let's just do this console log dates, right? So if we now, from the user inputs, we can see this is the dates since we are pasting, but we can say does get dates, I believe. So now if we do 1 and 1900, this will be 1. If we do it with 19, for example, this would be 19. Even if we do 0, 2, it will be just 2. So this is actually what we want. So I'm going to say dot get date. So now we can just see what the signs are. Obviously, we are returning the signs here. So if we now paste it here, and let's say I'm born on February the 2nd, maybe 1980. And we can see we have a long list with around 12 signs, I believe. And each, for example, for this one is Tuesday, February 18, 1902. Okay, sorry. We don't need the date. We need the year. Obviously we are passing in the year. So let's say O2 again, maybe April this time, 1980. So now this will be Sunday, January 20, 1980. Great. So all of them you can see will have a 1918 year. So we got this now. So let's just include it here. And next up, what we want to do is we want to compare it to the date the user inputs it. So again, if you need a refresher, the user inputs variable here just belongs to the dates that the user inputs, right? So we created a date here for that. So instead of compiling it each time, if we say, for example, 12th of January, maybe 1900, you can see we got the date due to this variable. Now we want to compare that with each sign. So that's very simple actually. So we want to start by saying signs dot for each, right? So for each sign, this is the syntax, sign dot for each sign here. We want to go and compare it. So we want to check something. Okay, so these are the signs. Let's remove this unwanted file for now. These are the signs. So for each of the signs, let's just consider the first one, Aries only. We want to say the dates of the user. Okay, so the user's birthday. So we want to check if the user's dates is in between the start dates and the end dates. How do we do that? First, we want to compare if the user's date is greater than or equal to the sign dot start date, I believe. So it is, yeah, start date. Just make sure this spelling is correct. Also, JavaScript is type capitalization sensitive, so just make sure of that. So if the dates of the user's birth is greater than this start date or equal to, because we're going to consider each of these dates as part of the actual sign, or we want to say end actually. So use two end signs to indicate end. And the date here, again, the date here is now less than or equal to the sign dot end date, right? So end dates from here. So if this holds true, what you want to do is basically just say, we want to do let's see, we want to do console.log. Actually, let's create a new variable here, const user sign equals, first of all, it would be null, unknown. And instead of const, I'm going to say let, because we want to change the result in the future. So here, what I want to do, if that holds true, I want to say user sign, this equals to the sign, the current sign, right? So now if we just paste that there and let's try it out. So 21 January 2000. So 21 January 2000. Obviously January here, if we go right at the end, 0, here this should be Aquarius, right? So we want to zero sign of for each is not a function. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, the reason that's not a function here is because here this is actually an object, right? So so for objects is a bit different. Now it would be nice if we could just do this with our arrays here. It would be nice if we could have these objects just simply inside of our arrays, but that doesn't work typically. So what we have to do here is we should use something called iterating over functions, objects, right? So it's a bit interesting. So let's console.log science just to see how this works. Now, if we just console.log science and do 1/2000, for example, we can see objects. So now if we do science, actually for loop for let I equals 0, as long as I in range, actually as long as I is less than or equal to science dot size. Now do objects have links? Okay, let's just console.log science dot links, for example, just to test it out. This will probably be 2000 and 2000 here, undefined, because objects don't have lengths. Objects, do they have keys that we can directly access if we do this? Undefined. So objects do have keys, but it's kind of tricky to access them. I'm going to show you, actually I did not show you till now the proper way of searching for your answers. So for example, we want to search, this is what we want to search for, iterating over JavaScript objects. So this is the proper way you should access. Or you can say iterating over objects, JavaScript. Or you can just say JavaScript iterating over objects. So you always have to mention the program language to actually get the proper answer. So let's just paste it here. And most of the time you will get your answer from one of these sites. Stack Overflow, MDN actually is very good, but it is quite tricky to work with, right? So if let's just go to MDN because it has the best results, but it's quite tricky to work with for beginners, especially. This is actually almost the official sort of documentation for JavaScript. So let's see what this says. So we have our list of objects, and for const property in objects. So property basically means A, B, and C. In object basically means in this object, right? So we get all of the values from this. So instead of saying, first of all, let user be null, and instead of saying science.for each, we want to do a for loop, right? So that's what it was saying. For, it was saying const property signed in science. Okay. So again, I'm following the syntax. Const property, each property is assigned in the object. The object is the science object, right? So you have to make sure that you translate this into your code as much as possible. So we don't need this for loop. If for each, actually, we can just paste it here, and this should work perfectly, right? So we still have the science. And just to test this out first, let's see if we console the log each side here. Now, you could have gotten the answer if you go over here to Stack Overflow. You have to look at the answers. The more upvotes, most of the time, this makes it more plausible, and you get some extra information here, which you have to scroll to get in this case. But I believe as much as possible using the direct documentation is the best way. So now let's just do 21 January and 2000 here. Then as you can see, we get all the signs. So if we do this, right? So actually this won't work for a good reason. Let's just sponsor the log user sign and see what happens. 21, 2000. And as you can see, it won't work because here when we say sign, we are only getting the text form of this sign here. So we're getting Aries, Taurus, I think Gemini, Cancer, and we're getting these parts, the keys. These are called the keys. And now we're not getting the values. So for us to actually get the values, what we have to do is we have to say for each sign, we want to I want to say, instead of this, I want to say signs at the index of sign here. So if I now change this here, and we will keep just the sign here, since that's what we want. Now if we just do that, and if we just go here at 2000 here, you can see base being null because distance isn't really changing. But now let's just comment this out and test out what we are doing. Let's say science, right? So science at sign. Okay, so what is the result of this? Okay, so we are getting the actual sides. Okay, so then are we getting any sign here? So is this matching anything? So 21 and 2000 here. Okay, so it's not matching anything. So now we want to test some parts out, right? So we want to say date greater than or equal to sign. Okay, so we want to start by saying sign, comma. So this comma is a JavaScript way of just, when you console the log, just separating your console logs. So does the JavaScript actually works? Okay, so false, 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 false. Okay, false for each of them. Why is that the case? Okay, quite simply, what we can do is we can just say console the log here, test out the sign here. Okay. Actually, we should have said is that dates greater than or equal to the sign dot start date. Okay, now let's see if that makes any difference. Okay, true. Every time. So, what if we change it to February? Let's clear this to make sure. Again, true for every time. So, again, JavaScript dates are a bit tricky. So let's see what this means actually. So date and signs at sign dot start date. Okay. let's do October, which is a later date. So invalid date, invalid date. So both of these are currently executed as invalid dates, which is very interesting. Now let's see if this is an invalid date, first of all. So 20, okay, let's do October here. Invalid date. So something broke here. Something did break to make this invalidated. So let's go back and make our way back. So we are getting the dates from the get structure date here. And now we can go here and console the log the dates here. Okay, 21, 2000 here, for example. Okay, for January it works. For October, why isn't it working? So for October, it is invalid, which is quite interesting. Why is that? Okay, let's see. It is October. Maybe the spelling here. It is October. I think since it's from the month, we want to check out this part. Let's see. If we just go to October here and maybe 2001, undefined, then invalid dates. So this here is undefined. Interesting. So now let's see if the user input dot months is correct. You see how we are working backwards to figure out what mistakes have been made. So it is October. Great. So we have this. Why can't we do this then? So this is where the issues occur. So we get October. Why can't we do months.october? So months conversion. Let's just console the log months conversion here. So again, 1 2000 here. January, February, March, April, May, October. Okay, but it is undefined. What if we do just add October? Okay, we get 9, but here it is now working with this conversion factor. Which is kind of weird because it is working for any other months here, but for some reason with October it is not working. Now we want to check if this is something occurring with any other months. So November, for example, December. No, it is not occurring for any other months, as it seems. Only for October. Only for October. Okay. Now this will be kind of difficult to figure out, right? So October, and let's go to the HTML and see what value this October has. So let's just copy, just make sure that it is not anything. Okay, you see it was October, and here it was October. Okay, so that's the reason. You can see how we got back one by one and solved that. So 2000 here. Again, now it is working. So we get the 9th month. Okay, so it's not October, it is October. Great. So now let's go back here into the main.js file and just test out our dates. So okay, we got the dates and we got the now signs slash @sign dot start date. Okay. Now let's just test it out and just be sure let's test it out with October. Okay, so we got both of the dates here. This Monday and the Sunday here. So we got both of them. And okay, so what is it in this case? In this case, why isn't it working? Okay, it is working. Okay, so how could we compare these dates, right? So So the comparison is not working. That's the biggest problem that we are facing. The comparison here is not working. So if we say January 2000 here, it is always true. It is always true that the date here the user was born in, January 1, 2000, is less than each of the other dates. But what if we say greater than? So if we say greater than, does this hold true? No, it does not. Okay. What if we instead say, instead of January, February? Let's clear this, February. It is not. Okay, so I think the reason is that we should be only comparing the dates, the actual dates, the structured dates. So, for example, if we have a way of structuring dates, can we compare them? Is the question here. So we have the structured dates, and let's just copy this part for now. Again, we are using so many console.logs, but it's going to be worth it at the end. So let's create a new console.log, also the log. Now we want to do, for each of these, let's just say cons s dates, structured date, that is this date dot to local string, and we want to say const s sign or structured sign dates, which will be this part. And we're gonna have to localize it. So now we want to do s dates greater than, for example, s sign. So 1 2000. Okay, so we get false, true, false, false. So I think this is the proper way of doing it. Now for the s date, we already have it structured. Right, so we have the structured dates. Now the reason this works is because we are only comparing the month, the date, and the year with the weekday, not comparing the GMT, the time. So I think that was the problem there. So if we say this, we just need the structured sign. Let's remove the structured date here, and instead of the date, we want to do structured date. And here as well, structured date. And just to make this easier to work with, let's separate them in separate lines. And instead of saying all of this, and we want to say structured start date, and we want to do structured here, instead of start, we want to say end. Okay, so let's just get this part here. Structured here, this should be structured start date. So let's just copy it. This should be structured end date. And now let's console about the sign, if this works. January 1, 2000, for example. Okay, it is still null. Let's see. What if we remove this test and see if at least one of them works? Okay, so one of them works, but no date is has both of these parameters. So the structured date, is it, let's think of it logically, right? So could the structured date be greater than or equal to the start date? Okay, it could. But could it be less than or equal to the end date, which is the question. Now, for it to be, for this case to hold, the end date should obviously be greater than the start date, right? So let's Let's actually test it out. Structure dates, structure start date, structured in dates, right? So obviously the structure start dates should be less than structured in dates. And for each of them, this should hold true. Okay, it always holds false for some reason. And I think I know the reason. I think JavaScript might actually be comparing this in opposite order. So if we maybe change the sign here, if we change the sign, and if we console the log, the user side, might this work? Okay, still null. And if we console the log here, works. Let's just console the log this text. And does this ever work? Okay, never. Okay, it does not get to this point, which is very interesting. Okay. Let me just think of this. So sometimes it is good to take a look back and stop coding for a minute and try to figure it out. So okay, let's okay, what could we test? Okay, let's remove the clutter from here. I want to get the structured date first of all. I want to get the start date, and I want to get the end date, right? So this will be a longer video, just hold on with me. Now I could have cut this part or maybe prepared this, but I think this is very important for you to understand. So okay, so each of these come in groups of 3. You can see here there is a problem. We are getting 100. We see as the year, so that's the reason everything so wrong has been going wrong. So get year, that's the reason. Okay, now let's remove this for now. And and let's think about this. Why is this happening? So console log science, right? So if you do science 1000 for each of these, it is going 100, which is interesting. Okay, because we are using the dates here. Okay, say dates dot get year. Okay, let's see what's result this is actually yielding. So if we say 2000, okay, it is 100 for some reason. What about get full year? Is this a better way? Or actually the proper way? Okay, so we should have been doing get full year. Okay, so now we have fixed that problem. So 2000. Again, it's not working, but we want to at least at this point try to paste all of these. And 2000 again, this should yield us, okay, Saturday, January 1, 2000, okay, and Tuesday, March 21, 2000, Tuesday, March 21, 2000. Okay, so these two seem to be the same. Structure start date and end date. And that's because we are applying the end dates both ways. So what if we say end date start and end date? So 1, 2000, or property on 2 or call date string. Okay. End start, I'd say that should be end date. Okay. 1, 2000 again. Let's see. So now we get Aquarius. Great. But is that the proper way? Now let's just stop this for now. And let's go to the sign conversion. Now, if we want to get Aries, it should be between these two dates. So this is obviously we have the year. The year doesn't matter, right? So let's say 1980, for example. The year doesn't matter. This month is, so 0 would be January, February, and this is March, and this is April. So we can say March. And if we do between March 21 and April 19, let's say March 27, right? So this should now yield Aquarius, Aries actually. Like is Pisces. Okay. Why is that here? This is here. Okay, I believe I know the problem. Maybe we should change this. Now, what should that yield? So 27, 1980, and it's March. Okay, so now it gives Cancer. Okay, now again, we got into a good level, but we still haven't figured it out. Okay, let's see how JavaScript date conversion works. So let's say we have a start. Let's say we have a date 1, and this would be new date. It would have the year 2000 to it. It will be the 8th of February, so that's 1. So date 1 would be September actually. Okay, yeah, September, the 8th month and the first day. Okay, we have date 2. Okay, new date. Again, 2000, but this time we want it to be January. So I'm going to go, actually, let's do February. So 1 and February, maybe 12. Okay, so day 2, again, February 12. Okay, so now we want to test if the date 1 is equal to the date 2. Obviously, it is false. Now, is September greater than this February date? Again, it is true. It's not less than, it is greater than. Great. So that's how dates go. Working with dates actually occurs, right? Now, saying that, we still have to figure out this in our own way. So let's console the log, the structured dates. Actually, at this point, it is obvious that we can compare them just as they are. So can we just remove everything here and just use this instead of structured start date, just to make it more convenient to work with? Can we actually just use this without ever localizing it? Okay. Now let's test it out if it still works to 2000. Okay, no, it doesn't work for some reason. Let's test it out actually. Let's go one by one as we did like before, right? Console the log here. We want to actually this should be date for both of them, dates. I think that was the reason it didn't work previously. Still not working. Interesting. Okay. Now let's just console log the dates. Let's start with that. Okay. We get the 1st of January 2000. Very good. Now let's console the log the signs. Not sign. Okay, let's actually just take this. And let's do the same thing we did here. Okay, so the first one is January the 1st, and here is Tuesday, March 21. Again, January the 1st, and it continues like this. So as it appears to me, January the 1st should be less than most of these, right? So how do we get it to match in the Aries sector, right? So remember, Aries is, if we go sign conversion, is the first one. So if we go 27 of March, as we did previously, and let's clear this, you can see 27 of March is definitely greater than 21 of March. But it is, I believe it is, okay, so let's actually continue here with the end date, just to see it. Okay, 27 of March 2000. So if we go up, so 27 of March is definitely greater than 21 of March, but is less than 19 of April. So let's go ahead and do this comparison. On the log is date here greater than signs. We can copy this, doesn't matter. So the first one should definitely be true, right? So 2000 here. Okay, some of them are false, but this one is definitely true. Now, if we go like 20 of March, this should instantly be false. Great, so it is false. Again, 27 of March, that is true. Then we want to go down here and test if it is either equal to actually here, and test if it is less than or equal to the end date, because it definitely is, right? So that should obviously be true as well. So 2000. 27 of March 2000. Okay, so both of these are true. And no other two are true here. False, true, false, true, false, true, false, true, false, true, false, true. Again, everything here this is true, false. Everything here is false, true. Sorry, here. Give me a moment. Sorry. I know this is taking a bit too long than the other videos, but working with dates is notoriously difficult and we need to know how to debug that. So this here holds true. So, but do both of them hold true? We can now combine these, right? So we can say, does this and this hold true? Is that the case? So for 27 of March 2000. So each of these, as you can see, is false for each date, but the first one is true. So here we have to copy this and instead I use this. So here the end will remain, but we want to test this and we want to test this. Okay, so here we can, that's the same condition. So let's console the log working at some point, at least at some point. Let's console the log working just to make sure it is reaching that point. So it is working only here. You can see, great. So we need to then use this. We need to make sure that the user sign is being applied. Okay. Now final test here. And the problem is probably here. And it is Aries now. It is being applied and it is working. You see how we worked backwards to fix our problem? Sometimes you don't even know what you fixed, but by just going step by step, it becomes obvious that this is working. Okay, now let's refresh. 27 of March 2000. Aries, great. Now, what if we say 27 of April? Now, this should be under sign conversion. It should be under Taurus. So here, Taurus. What if we say January the 1st? So 1 January 2000. So which date is that? That is the 0, this here, right? So it is between the end of December and the start of January. So it should be Capricorn. Okay. And again, okay, you see we are getting an error. Why is that? So that's good to test, right? So testing is always good in this case. So we want to test it for the 1st of January. And we want to do the same thing, console the log. Now we can console log our date because now we know how everything is working. Are we getting the dates right? January the 1st, 2000. Okay, we are getting the dates right. And are we getting the signs right here? First 2000. Okay, yeah, the start date. And it should be true for this one, right? So January the 1st, the start date. Is it greater than February No, it is not, because February was in a different year. Okay, so that's the biggest problem we are facing here. So what we can do here is go to the conversion factor, and for this here, so it was good up to like the 8th, the 9th, the 9th, the 10th, the 10th, the 11th, and the 11th months. But here, when we get to the 0 months, you can see we are entering a new year, right? So for that, what we want to do for this to work is do -1, right? For each of the years. So -1, -1, -1, and -1. It is either or plus or -1. We're going to test it out in a moment here, 2000. And now we want to test is here. We want to test is January 1 greater than February 19th of the last year? And it definitely is, right? So let's test it out. Let's go one by one and test it out. Is this date greater than or equal to the start date? And it definitely should be, right? So 2000. Again, here it is true. It holds true. But it is it, if we just console the log now, the end date here, does that hold true for the end date? Is it okay? So this is the end date here. January, this is our date. Is January the one less than March 20, 1999? 1999. So that shouldn't be the case. So here, starting from where we go from 10 to 11 to 0 here, what we want to make sure is that the end dates are not actually being changed here. So let's remove this from the end dates. Since the end dates should be in the same year, but the beginning ones should be from a different year. Actually, does this only apply here? Do we need to apply this for February? We're going to test it out. But for now, let's do January 1, 2000. And we're getting Pisces. Okay. Where is Pisces? So it is here. But we know that January 1 here is between this and this. So what? Okay. Maybe instead of plus, let's in minus, let's try plus. Now we gain null. Great. Okay. So this was the proper way to do it. But we are still getting Pisces. Now, I know this video is getting a bit longer than anticipated. We are like at 43 minutes, but I think this is the most informative video of the series so far. So let's try to figure this out. This is our date, January 1. Again, January 1, is it greater than February 19? Wait, February 19 is the start date. Okay, it shouldn't be, right? It shouldn't be, but because of the year difference, it is. Okay, because of the year difference, it is. But in reality, January 1 should be less than February 19th, 99. But it should be, wait, okay. Let's actually create a separation here, console log. Here, let's do something like this, right? So when you do January 1, 2000 now, we get separations for each of them. So we're now pasting the dates, start date, end date. And since the last one is for Pisces, that's happening there. But we want to check where January 1 should be. It should be here in Aquarius, right? So it should be, this is January 1, January. Okay. January 1 should actually be between here. Okay, it should be right here. between the end of the year and the start of the year. So let's go 3 up here. Here is the Capricorn. And is January 1 greater than the start date, which is December 22? No, it should be December 22 of the last year. Okay, so let's go here and do -1. Interesting. So what we're having here is actually interesting. We are having everything here on the same year. And when we are getting to the year when we change, then the actual problems start to occur. So here is the problem. January 1 is not greater than December 22. It is though less than January 19. So we need to make sure that this is less than by just doing -1 here. Okay. So 1, 2000 here. And we're still getting Pisces, but let's look at this. Is January 1 greater than December 22 of the last year? Definitely is. Is January 1 less than January 19? Again, it definitely is. But we're still getting Pisces. Okay. So we need to test this out, right? So we need to say, is it greater than the start date? Again, this is true. Again, is it less than the end date? End date. Okay, it holds true for both this and this and this. So it is applying for the last one. So that's not what we want. Here, I think we just need this to be true for the switch of the year, right? Now what if we remove this for both of these guys? It becomes Capricorn, because here for the other ones, since we're already passing the switch of the year, we can simply just compare it as we would do otherwise, right? So now we are getting what we want, but that's not enough. The reason it's not enough is because we want to test it out for each of these. So we want to recursively test it. So if we want to do Pisces, we want to check if it is between February and March. So let's do March 1. So March 1. This should give us Pisces. Great. Again, if you want this should be between January 20 and February 18th. So let's do February 1 here. Let's do February 10. Okay. Now we get Aquarius. Now, if you want this to be the case, it should be between the end of the December year and the start here. So let's do January, for example, 9, and it's Capricorn. So it is working. And again, there should be some testing algorithm for this. We're not going to be talking about unit testing, stuff like that, in this course. So I'm not going to be covering that much really. But I think by just applying some conversions at the end of the year, we got it working. Okay. So now this might still have some issues, some errors. So just make sure that you go in and test it out and try to figure it out. So if there are some errors, on my own time, I'm gonna try to figure it out. But you do the same as well. So I think now we are ready. All that is remain is we have the sign. So I'm gonna say get user sign.js. So const get, I'm gonna just make this modular get user sign. And here we'll have this. And let's just cut this part out, paste it here. Okay, we just need the date and the signs. Right, so that's all that we're passing. So const get user sign. This will be user sign, actually user sign. This will be get user sign. And we are passing in the dates and the signs. Okay. So we don't need this. We can just cut this part out here. And finally, we can return this user sign right here. Now for this to work, we need to go and import it in our HTML. So I'm just going to import it right here into scripts, get user sign defer. Now you don't need defer for this file, but I'm just going to be sure and just include it there. Now, final thing to do is console log user sign. And let's go for someday like June 12, 1990. Now June 12, where should this be? If we go to here, June is January, February, March, April, May, June, right? So the 6 months, that is the 5th month here. So it should be, if we say June 12, June 12 is between June 20. Actually, it's between the 4th and here. Okay, so it should be Gemini. Gemini, great. So now we can continue here. And let's just finish this off by saying git add all git commit with a message completed sign comparisons and git push. Okay, so thanks for watching. That was all for this video. Next time I'm going to be working with the DOM, document object model, and making the HTML responsive to our calculations and our inputs from JavaScript, and that would be not too hard. And thanks for watching. I know this is quite a longer video than usual, but really hope you enjoyed and learned so much from it. Again, until next time, goodbye.